Now, my Harry Mai, welcome everybody. Tonight, I have the great pleasure to welcome Robyn Williams, who I think knows everything there is to know about the NZSG. And she came and gave an amazing presentation on our library catalogue a few months back and is now back to talk about our overseas resources, because a lot of people think the NZSG only does New Zealand, but of course, everybody came from somewhere else. So we have a lot of resources once you start moving outside of New Zealand. So I am going to turn myself off and hand over to Robyn. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to use the library catalogue again. So I'm just starting off for everybody because not everybody may have seen the previous presentation. So I'm just going to start off with showing you how to use the library catalogue in a way that's nice and easy and it's good for most people. So how I go in is just go in as a guest and pick the NZSG library from there and then scroll down my screen until I get to access the library catalogue. And here it comes now. And what I'm going to do is start off with just using the plain search screen because I think that that's the easiest way for people to see what's there. So if we just go and pick Cornwall, there's lots and lots of people that came to New Zealand were from Cornwall. Not mine, but I know lots of people were. And you'll be amazed at how many resources we've got. 1,325 is what it's bringing up. And I don't like the search screen that comes up, so I always use this one. I go over to the left-hand side and click on this. And there's another one there, but I just like this one because then it shows me all the things that we've got in the library catalogue. Now, if we just have a look at this first one, I just want to show you how you can search things. And this tells you the story about the what is in this particular book, and it gives you a little bit of a rundown. And the most important thing here is whether it's indexed or not, because if it's indexed, then it doesn't matter where you are, you can send a query off to the research services and say, could you have a little look in that particular book for my ancestor or my family that might have come out to New Zealand? And they will do that and maybe send you the page or whatever that's on there. And there is a whole lot of different things. There's some audio cassettes on Cornwall. I don't think anybody's borrowed those for a long time. We've got 947 books showing up for Cornwall. So we've got some CD-ROMs. And if I just click on the CD-ROMs, it shows you some of the things that are available, like baptisms of illegitimate children in Cornwall from various parishes. If we just click on that, it doesn't tell us very much. One of these days, we're going to fill out more of this so that it gives you more information. But it takes a long time to backfill all the things in the catalogue. I think this one here, no, that one hasn't got anything. But anyway, it's Cornish Nonconformist Births, Baptisms, Burials Registers for Cornwall, the Methodist and Independent records. So, you know, there are lots of things that in the catalogue that are for Cornwall and also for all the other counties in England. And I'm just trying to calculate our resources for Great Britain, and I think over 50% of our resources are for Great Britain, which is a huge amount. We've got other ones. We've got some charts, which are mostly maps and things like that, periodicals. And if I just click onto the periodicals, actually I need to click that one off to just show you the periodicals. Why didn't that come up? There you are. And this shows you the Cornwall Family History Society magazine of 1976, and it says it's not available. But if you have a look over here, it says it's a journal and it's in storage. And you might have been able to identify something in your family history that you want to have a look at that's in that particular journal. And if it says this, you just need to give us 7 days and we will get it into the FRC and see if your information is available in it, and send it to you if you're not in Auckland, or if you make an appointment and come into the FRC to see it. And that goes for a lot of the others. So there's huge numbers there of periodicals telling us there's 150. Okay, so that's the one for Cornwall. And if we just have another look so that you can just see that, I'm just picking these places at random. And if we go in and we can look at Dorset and see what we've got for Dorset, we just go search. And here we are, 10,000 fallen remembered on Dorset War Memorials. We go and have a little look at that, and we find it, yes, it's indexed and tells you a little bit about the author and her husband, Arthur, had travelled over the county, visiting 300 parishes. And so she has produced this huge volume of work, and wouldn't that be good if, you could find your people there? I need to have a look and see, just in case some of mine might be there as well. There's all sorts of things. Now, if I was wanting to, just looking through the catalogue and just at random, I can make a list of what it is. So all you need to do is you just need to pick up the icon and put it into my list. And if we just go down and think, oh, well, I might want to have a little look at this one. So we'll just pick it up and put it into my list. And I'll just do another one. Just have a little look and see what that is. There you are. No indexed. That's the thing I always look at first. And it tells you about that parish. And also there's some contents there. Doesn't tell you very much, but it does tell you about what is covered in the book. And anyway, if I wanted to have a little look at that later, I just pick that up and put it on my list. Before we go any further, I'll show you how you just do your lists, and you can just click on it, and that shows you you've got a list there. And here's your options. So you can view my list, you can clear it, you can view your citation. So if we just have a little look at that, so if, say we go in this, we go to Harvard, and we say we want to see what the citations are there. And here they are at the bottom. So this is what you can do. You can actually go copy and go and paste it into your family history, saying that that's what you searched. So you don't have to type it all out. It's all done there for you. And then the other option you can get, well, you can get all these others, but go print. And you go print my list, and that gives you a list so that you've got it there and you think, yes, I want to see that at some stage. And you can either print it out or print it to PDF or do what you like with it. But it gives you a lovely list that you've actually selected, and then you can reselect at a later stage if you wish. You can fine it down. But it means you can do it on the go. Right, so that's the how to sort of do a quick search of the library catalogue. Then one of the things you might like to do is you can go for a visual search, and we've got all these visual searches. This is the main screen, and so we can search England, Great Britain, Ireland, Australia, Scotland, Wales, Canada, USA, and Europe. They are selected from some keywords, or some keywords in one of the search pages. And so not everything is there because we haven't actually got back to backfilling everything in the catalogue. If we have another 10 years, well, I think we might be able to achieve it, but it does take a lot of work. And we are doing, backfilling as much as we possibly can from time to time. Okay, so you want to see what is available for the rest of the world. Most people will realise that we have these main countries here. They might not think we have got much on Canada and USA, but we'll have a look. But I'll also go and have a little look in Europe. So here's the countries that we've got for Europe that are just some of them, the ones that most of us have. So let's just go and have a little look in Germany. And again, I don't like that, so I'll go back and just do this. So here's some, just a guide. This is a guide, and it is indexed, and it tells you about how to discover your Germanic ancestors and how to record it. And somebody has put these into the notes. So these are all the chapter headings. So if you've never tried searching for your Germanic ancestors, then here's a book that you can start with. It's reasonably, it's 2,000, but it will give you all the basic resources to search. Interesting, a history of Puhoi comes up. Now, why does that history of Puhoi come up? And it'll be because it's got all the tags here: Germany, Bohemia, all these places that I can't even pronounce properly, and I'm not even going to try. But, you know, a lot of our New Zealand people come from there, and so therefore there'll be a little bit of interest in how they got here. It's recording some of the ships that they came on, and I'm sure that, you know, it may well take you back to the places in Europe that they came from. And this one's a map, tells you, and the map's dated 1754. We do try to collect lots of maps, and if people want to donate them, we gladly accept them, because that may be the time period that you're looking at your people. And this is a family history, and it's called A Mingled Yarn, a Seafoot family in flax milling in New Zealand. So obviously this born to John Herman Seafoot, a native of Germany. So way back to Germany already. So don't discount anything. Always have a good look at things, especially if you've picked on something that you might like to have a little look at. So let's go back to our visual search again and go back to Europe. And let's have a look and see what's in Sweden. Here's another one, A Guide to Scandinavian Genealogical Research in a Digital World. So that one is year 2000, and it tells you as well, gives you a good outline about what may be in that book. Now, you may be able to find some of these books in your local library, or if you're in Wellington, in the National Library, I'm sure that some of them will be down in there as well. So it's a good guide to some of the things that you may be able to find useful in your research. Genealogical Guidebook, an Atlas of Sweden. It tells you it contains parish lists, maps, genealogical terms, and other valuable information for those researching in Sweden. Let's go back again. Let's go to Poland. I'm sure that you're noticing the numbers of the various types of resources that we've got. If you click down here a little bit, you'll see that there's 59 books and journals, and there's microfiche and maps, all sorts of different things. And again, tells you things like a historical bibliography of Polish towns, villages, and regions. Doesn't give us much information. As I said, we're going to backfill some of these. Background to Polish immigration in New Zealand. Okay, so those are the sorts of areas using the visual search that you'll see. Now, one of the other things that I wanted to do was just to show you that there are other places. And I made a little list so I don't forget any of them. One is Norfolk Island. Go for a search in there. And we've got 53 resources from there. Who would have guessed that we had as many as that? And so this is an index of allotments and lands held by individuals. It obviously includes some from New South Wales as well as Norfolk Island. Let's have a look at this one. Oh, this isn't the far north, it's not Norfolk Island. I wonder why. This is why it's telling you it's Norfolk Island. Sometimes you've got to look for this little indicator here, and it is, yeah, the Norfolk Island pine invasion. Yeah. So it's a legacy of Norfolk Island. Okay, the colonial era cemetery of Norfolk Island includes photographs of headstones and lists of convicts and soldiers. Now, if you had somebody there, isn't that interesting? Convict records of Norfolk Island from 1788 to 1814. It's an overview of the records of convicts and contains information about where to find or access them. It includes further reading and many websites with addresses. So that looks like it's very useful. That was edited, it's 2021 edition, so that's reasonably up to date. Now, here's another interesting thing. Elizabeth Robertson's Diary of Norfolk Island. She wrote in 1845. And if your people were there at that time, then her experience was probably their experience as well. Always look for things like that when you're ready to write your family history, because sometimes it can give you, an outline of the ways of what was happening at the time. Not just for this particular island, Norfolk Island, but for anywhere in the world. You need to sort of look for lots of places. Interesting, we've got one there that says it's referred to the Kiwi collection, and that's what we've done when we know that some of the, it's been indexed, and so therefore it's in the Kiwi collection. We're adding that now to our library catalogue so that because we can't actually put everything in our catalogue. It's huge anyway. We've got a huge number of items in our catalogue, and the more we add, the more space we take up. But we try and cross-reference things where we can. Okay, so that's enough of Norfolk Island. And I just thought for fun, I'd see if we've got anything in Tahiti. It says we've got 9 resources: Encyclopedia of Fiji, Samoa, Tahiti, and the Cook Islands, as at 1907. So if you're wanting to know more about that, there was obviously a lecture on, here it is here, Decimated by an Invisible Enemy, what happened on HMNZT troop ship Tahiti, and that was a lecture by Lynn Blake, and it's written up in that proceedings of the 2018 conference. Tahiti and the Solomon Islands, Society Islands, 1846 to 7, The Polynesian Journey of Captain Henry by Martin, and list names published by the Peabody Museum in 1981. and that's just a folder, but obviously useful if it's your particular area of research. Okay, so we'll have another look at South Africa. What we've got there. That one must be just mentioning South Africa. Here you are, here's something. 1820 settler family trees and Eastern Cape families from 1800 to 1900. And that's on a CD, but it does list a lot of the names of those settlers. 1820 settler women. And here's all the names of those women. It's, you just have to see if your name was one of your names were there. It's a bio, so I would imagine that most of those are written up in some way, so there'd be some family history in there. A letter from the Boer War, Trooper Joseph Wilman from the 4th Contingent of Hawke's Bay Rough Riders. And he's written a letter in 1901. A souvenir of Durban, containing 35 artistic views. Lots of photographs of Durban. Interesting. And my last one I had on my list was Nova Scotia. And you see how easy it is just to search and to just bring them up, however you would wanting to look at. Well, these first ones, that's a surname directory, and a lot of those are quite old. We're doing things differently nowadays, but this is the way they used to do them in the past. Lots of directories. You are a catalogue of published genealogies of Nova Scotia families, and it was published by the Royal Nova Scotia Historical Society, so I'm sure there were lots of names in there. A voyage to Australia, being an account of a journey from Barrington, Nova Scotia to Ballarat aboard the 1852 Seaboom. Now, if your people were on that same journey, and there are some names here, but unfortunately it's not indexed, but somebody's gone through and picked out some of the names in that book. And if your people were on that same journey, well, then the conditions that they experienced would have been the same. Very good for writing your family histories. Okay, so one of the other things that I'm going to show you is how to actually search. Once you've found out what it is that we're using for our how we catalogue, make our shelf labels, and they're called in this catalogue as classification. And if I wanted to find something in, say, one of the places in England, one of the counties, and I want to go, so I'd go England, and I'd go a county, and it could be Hampshire, and it was a baptism, so I'd go BDM .star, and if I then go enter, I'll see what that brings up. There's 62 resources for that, and you see this is where I've got that from the classification here. England, Hampshire, BDMs. And some of them are CDs, some of them are microfiche. And here's one with some transcripts. That's on microfiche as well. Burial index, the baptism index, a lot of them are CDs. Marriage allegations, that was in a book. And so there are lots of things that you can do. Now you might wonder how to find those. So I suggest that in the first place, what you've got to do is just, you look for Hampshire. So you just do an ordinary search. And you go search. And that brings you up, a lot of all the books and all the resources for Hampshire. And then if you have a look along here, and if you were interested in churches, here you are, this is what you need to just make a copy of, and you don't need to even write it down, because what you can do is you can just go into the advanced search here, go down to classification, and you can just copy, you can see what you're looking for, so you just go copy and go Hampshire and go CH, put full stop, and then go do your star. And then if you did that, you might not want churches, you might want to see what local histories you've got. So if you just go LH for local history, or if you wanted history. Let's have a look at what other things that might be there. So you can just substitute anything like that, or if you were looking for court records. Most of them tend to be in that main ones, or maybe even occupations. There's police there. So it's just showing you how you can actually find other items of interest. So if we just go history like that, that's how I've got that one up. And you see we've just got 19 resources, not quite so many to look through. So you can firm them down. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you, and I hope I can find it in my window, is I did a little bit of a PowerPoint earlier. Right, so we've got all what we call the big 5 databases. We've got all 5 of them, and you all know that they've got the British and Wales census from 1841 to 1911. They all include directories and almanacs and lots of transcriptions, and some have images of parish registers, they have maps and location indexes, and they all have their own individual unique records. So we just got skilled at finding which of these 5 sites, and some of them, like Family Search, often has the same as Ancestry and Find My Past and My Heritage and the Genealogist, but it's a mixture. And so what we do is we just check against each one of them, especially if we're not finding what we're looking for. And you have the opportunity to write in and say you've got maybe access to Ancestry, but you haven't been able to find them. Could we have a little look at the other databases and perhaps see something that you're looking for? So, that's just a little email to Research Services, but you need to be specific, and you need to say, you're looking for John Jones and he was born in 1900 or whenever, and he died in 1948, and you want to find his baptism. You need to actually be quite specific. Otherwise, it's really hard for our volunteers to work out exactly what it is you need, and often they'll send you information that you already have, and we really don't want to waste their time. So you need to be really quite specific. Now, the other databases we've got, I won't that work. Why do I have a problem with that? No, it does now, and I did it too quickly. Sorry, let's just get back to this one. Now, that one there. Okay, so we've got some specific databases that that you may or may not know about. We've got a Cornish database from the Cornwall Family History Society. That's one that they, very similar to what we've got as our Kiwi index, and they have indexed a whole lot of Cornish records, and I don't know that many of our members realise that we've got this Cornish database to be able to look up and give you information from. We've got the Griffiths Valuation of Ireland, and I'm sure most people, if they skilled with using their computers, have got access to that, but we've also got access to it. The Huguenot records, if you've got Huguenot ancestors, most of their books are now been transferred to CDs, and we've been able to make a big database with their permission of all those Huguenot records. And so it's easy for our volunteers to just go and look them up. We've also got the New Zealand Gazettes on a database from the 1850s through to 2004. And sometimes, there's things like naturalizations and lots of other information that's referring to overseas on that particular database, especially if people came from overseas to New Zealand. And the final database is the New Zealand Illegitimacy Database, and I think we've advertised that quite a lot. And then there's just the one more. Oh, why is that on that? We've also got the Fold 3 military database, and this is a brilliant database that they're still adding to all the time. And was the one database where I was actually able to confirm my John Williams, who'd served in the First World War, and his records have been destroyed, but they did have something for me on that, and that was really, really good. Everybody thinks it's American. It covers all the wars, and you'll also find New Zealanders in that particular database. So if you're struggling with trying to find something relating to the military, a quick email to Research Services may well give you the answer.
Thank you, Robyn. Well, that was really good. And I have to say, I've got a mental list now of about half a dozen things I need to email up to Auckland to have a look for me, because some of the databases there, well, yeah, we don't have access to down here. So that's really handy to know. Thank you. Have we got any questions from anybody in our audience tonight? You just want to put your camera and your microphone on, and we'll be able to see you and hear you, more importantly.
We've got a huge amount of information. It's just overwhelming. I'm
It
always
is.
finding, new things and thinking, wow, what have we got? Wow.
Oh, I know. Well, I had an hour or so up there when I came up for the expo, and I wish I'd had a bit more of a plan, but I did the Canterbury shelves and I found all sorts of interesting things there. But next time I might have to go loiter in the English shelves or the Irish shelves or the Scottish shelves to do a bit more research on those bits of the family. So have we got any questions out there? You've obviously done a wonderful job of explaining. And if anybody thinks of one later, we are recording this, so we will put it up there. There is one other little thing I will show people tonight that we've recently launched. Like Robyn, finding the right screen. Now this is all very weird because I can't see anybody. So if you come onto our homepage and you look under resources, under our overseas resources, we have put in a whole lot more, and this is aimed at helping you research. So don't forget the library and all the resources that Robyn's shown you tonight. But of course, some of the things like civil registration and censuses and things, depending on where you're looking for, you might want to go. So we've got things. Well, it's a work in progress, but we have Australia and the Pacific Islands, the British Isles and Europe reasonably well covered off at the moment. If you've done some research in another area and you'd like to help contribute, that would be great. But if you take, for example, Jan, our webmaster's been going to town formatting this, it just gives you, an idea of some of the resources that you can find to that thing. And, my go-to always is to say that when you can't find what you're looking for, go look in the library catalogue, because often that's where it is. And you can just send an email to Research Services if you're not in Auckland, or pop into the FRC if you are, and have a look at things. So I'm going to wrap up and say thank you very much, Robyn, for coming along and presenting for us. and I am looking forward to having another little deep dive into the catalogue and seeing what else I haven't found yet. And I'd like to thank everybody for coming along. We don't yet know what next month is. We're hoping to do something on women's suffrage, but we haven't decided exactly what it is because, of course, it's the 130th anniversary of the women's suffrage petition and women in New Zealand getting to vote next month. So that will be our plan. We'll see if it happens. So thank you, Robyn.
Pleasure. I hope everybody uses the catalogue.
Yeah, definitely.
It finds things that are, going to be useful to them. So that's what we tend to do.
It is, yep. So thank you everybody for coming, and I hope to see you all next time.